Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what we were hoping for. Today, Thomas Healy did hold a virtual press conference where he basically just talked about Hyliion. He talked about their mission, their goals, the products they produce. He answered some questions from watchers, and he really just interacted with the overall Hyliion community. Now, this may seem like something small, and it may seem like it's really not that big a deal, but in today's market, in today's society, the fact that he went on there and just simply interacted with people makes a big difference. Now, one thing we have noticed from Thomas Healy is that he's not really very out there. He doesn't really tweet much. He doesn't post much on social media. He doesn't really do too much to interact with the people who do support him. And now that might be a good thing and it might be a bad thing. It kind of just depends on what you're talking about. I would say overall it's not the worst thing, but I feel like if he would interact with people a little bit more, it would be better. Simply for the fact that a lot of this market is based around hype and attention, and keeping people's eyes focused on Hyliion and keeping people's attention on them with tweets or posts or just anything like that could really be super beneficial for Hyliion. Now, once again, today he did go ahead and hold this press conference, and he went over a lot of different things. But one thing I did notice, it seemed like the way he was talking, it seemed like he was talking to people who are new to Hyliion. He was talking about their mission. He was talking about what the product does and how it works, and the reason that they chose to do the certain things that they're doing. Now, I do take that I take that to be very interesting. The reason I take it to be so interesting is because he's talked about this in the past already. So what does that say to me? I think his goal right now is that he knows there's a lot of people who are new to Hyliion, and Hyliion has gotten a lot of attention recently for how bad it's been doing. It's not been doing the best. It's genuinely just been dropping and dropping and dropping like a knife. And it's brought them a lot of attention that really wasn't probably what their intention was, the reason, originally to get attention from. Well, I think a big reason as to why he went into it today, and he compared, operating costs to other companies. And he was almost like he was flexing just how good their model is and their products are. I think the reason he did that is because if there are people who are new to Hyliion who are somewhat interested but see them doing bad, I think he's trying to bring the potential of this company to the eyes of potential investors. That's how I took today's meeting. Because whenever I was listening, it was like, man, it seems like he's almost trying to convince people again how good the product is. And I honestly don't blame him. After, the stock has been doing pretty poorly. It's had a pretty poor performance over the last couple of weeks with, not really much bad news. The only, necessarily bad thing that we got was Jim Cramer saying it should go to 20, which he wasn't wrong. We've seen it drop a lot. And that's brought, it's made people kind of be wary of Hyliion. Like, man, why is it so bad? What's going on? Well, I think whenever he did this today, I think those people who might have had doubts, they might have been reassured. Okay, look, I know the stock's been dropping recently, but you just gotta look how good this stock is. Look how good this company is. Look how well their product is, and look at the potential that they hold. It was almost like this reinforcement that he reinforced us, like, hey, I know the stock's not doing well. That's not what we're focused on. The volatility of our stock price does not make our company volatile. It doesn't make us go down as, fundamentally when our stock price drops. We still have potential. We still have an amazing product that can do big things in a very, specific industry. And I'm really, really happy as a Hyliion investor and a Hyliion fanboy at this point that he did come out and he did give us this presentation, because really just even being able to hear him speak and knowing that he's focused on the product, he's focused on the company, because he could have came out and said, hey, I know the stock price is falling, and given a whole bunch of excuses, but that's not what he did. He came out and he just talked about how good the product is. He answered some people's questions, and he kept on with the tunnel vision for the future that they want to create. And I absolutely love that about Thomas Healy, because he doesn't get caught up in all the rah-rah. He doesn't get caught up in all that, the drama and all this. He's focused on his mission as well with his team. And it's an absolutely amazing thing to watch. Now, again, a few points he did go over in today's presentation. He started it off really just introducing the company, saying that they were based out in Austin, saying about how long they've been around. He really gives us their mission statement and, what their main focus of, creating this company was, which is to just make a more clean world, a clean trucking industry, to reduce emissions, and for us as people in general to do our part in saving the environment. And that's really what he was talking about for a good portion of the beginning, was really just what the main focus on Hyliion was. He then goes on to talk about the mechanics and what all goes on in the Hyliion trucks. He was talking a lot about the actual reasoning as to why they chose powertrains, because he said he doesn't believe that the trucking industry as a whole needs to be remodeled. The powertrain is what can make the difference. We can create a powertrain that can change the industry, but we don't have to remodel and recreate an entire truck. And he said by doing this, they save them a lot of money, and he saves the consumers a lot of money as well. Because whenever you have to go and get these fully hydrogen trucks and things like that, the upfront costs a lot more because the operating costs and the production costs are a lot more than just simply adding a powertrain to an already existing truck. And he was talking about that. He was talking about the differences in the operating costs. He talked about the difference in the collection of the the renewable natural gas compared to actual gas, compared to hydrogen, and really just showing that in this industry, in comparison to other aspects of the industry like hydrogen and normal gas, that renewable gas is so much better in a way. Now, could it be a little bit biased? It kind of just depends on who you talk to. But I think overall it can be agreed upon that this product, and using the renewable gas to power these batteries that will then power these trucks, that the batteries can keep being charged over time, can be beneficial, especially in the world we live in today. Now, he actually did go ahead and say something that it caught my attention. He said that the number one aspect and the number one focus that they are focusing on right now is infrastructure. He was like, none of this can happen without infrastructure. What he means is where are these fueling stations going to be? How are we going to set them up in accordance to where our consumers are? And how are we going to get the infrastructure of our product and what's going to maintain it set up around the country? And I've noticed that, and now that's something I spoke about in like 2 videos ago, I believe, was the fact that a lot of the money they were getting from investments were going into adding these fueling stations. They're at 1,000 already. To getting these fueling stations up and building this infrastructure, because he said without the infrastructure, it doesn't matter what your operating costs are or your reduced emissions, because if that truck just runs out of juice halfway or a couple hundred miles from a nearest fueling station, no one's going to want to reuse your product. People are going to be very dissatisfied. What happens when your customers and your consumers aren't happy? You don't get any business. And so what he's focusing on is getting the infrastructure up and really turning this into a real life reality rather than just a mental concept or a very conceptual product. They are actually using all the money, not all of it, but a good bit of it actually, to put up infrastructure and get this thing out there so that when it is time for this to hit the broad market, they can get one of those big company deals that they will be fully in set and they will be fully ready to make that go and to change the future. Now, with that being said, we did see major movements in the stock price today. It has actually been, over the course of the last couple of days, the first time in over a month now that we've seen multiple green days back to back to back. But after today's conference, we did see that Hyliion moved over 11%, all the way back up to $23.17. That is absolutely phenomenal. We're starting to see the shorting volume drop. I told you guys, I've been saying it video after video, that when these shorters start to be less successful, we're going to see them exit. We're going to see them go find something else to do. And I think that's what we're starting to see. I told you guys that it kind of somewhat seemed like the stock price was starting to flatten out a bit around this $20 mark, which is where it did in June. And that's exactly what happened. It seemed like it hit its bottom potentially. Now, that could be bad news. That could shoot it down even more. Who knows? But when it comes to the shorters and the short sharks killing this stock, it seems like that that era is starting to end. So it will definitely be more interesting to check out. I know for the week we're currently up 16%. I will have a recap video coming out very soon about the overall week. So hopefully tomorrow we can have maybe a 4 or 5% day, maybe see a 20% gain over the course of a week. Who knows? We will definitely have to wait and see what happens. With that being said, that is all I wanted to talk about today. I did just want to mention the fact that this was super duper important, that he's out there and he's just really interacting with people and keeping the attention on Hyliion. There's been a lack of news recently. No one's really been talking about them other than the fact that the stock price is getting smashed. So with him coming out, it really just reassures the people that are invested in them and the people who are actually very interested in the company. So with that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. I try to keep you guys as updated as possible. I am a busy man, so sometimes I might miss a day or two in recording, but I definitely am trying to get more on a consistent schedule, and I know you guys do appreciate whenever I'm putting out hella videos every single week. So I will definitely continue to try to do that. But with that being said, once again, I will be doing a recap video on what all has happened this week with Hyliion. So I hope you do tune in tomorrow to check that out. But until then, I will see you guys next time. Peace.